Just a few days ago, I was involved in a conversation with a mixed group of atheists, agnostics, and theists, when one of them stated something I've heard so many times that I've lost count. He said that faith is believing something despite a complete absence of evidence or facts to support it. Essentially, it is a total leap in the dark. But is this really true? Hi, I'm Kirk, and I'm a scientist and a philosopher and a person who spends a lot of time thinking about the why questions in life. So if you're interested in discussions pertaining to God, science, and life, then please subscribe to my channel here, where I'll be posting on a regular basis. You can also subscribe to my social media accounts, and the links are below. Many people, when talking about faith, seem to think that to have faith, one must take their brains and just give them a heave right out the window. Even some Christians have told me that it is wrong-headed to gather evidence for what I believe, because then I would not need faith to believe it. Let's think about this for a moment. Does faith necessarily require a total lack of knowledge of the person in whom we place our faith? If we were leaving on a trip and said, "We have great faith that our neighbor here will do a good job of looking after our house while we're gone," do we actually mean that we have great faith because we do not have a shred of evidence supporting this belief? On the contrary, the reason we have great faith in our neighbor is because they have proven themselves reliable and responsible in the past. Right after graduating from university, I was part of a team that built and tested experimental aircraft engines. Over a period of a couple years, we had 3 of our experimental engines explode in the test cell. Each time, corrections in build and design were made so that eventually the engine would pass certification testing. Over the years, I have flown on quite a few aircraft that use that very engine I helped develop. Despite those explosions in the early days of development, I have sufficient faith in the final product to actually climb aboard those aircraft, entrusting my life to them. What does it mean when I say I have a strong faith in those engines? Because I've been involved in developing aircraft engines, I have a lot of knowledge about the testing and certification process, as well as their track record. Therefore, I know the probability is extremely high that they will work just fine during my flight. Nevertheless, boarding a plane is an act of faith for the simple reason that I have zero facts about the future of that particular flight. I have no way of knowing if that particular plane will indeed land safely. No faith in the engine is required of me if I do not board the plane. But boarding the plane does require faith, because there is a difference between a high probability and a certainty. Whenever I am faced with doing something whose outcome is not absolutely certain, I must exercise faith to do it. Boarding a plane is then an act of faith. I am placing my faith in that airline's ability to ensure my safe arrival at my destination. However, the advanced knowledge I have about the engine and the airway bolsters my confidence in this mode of travel. It is a reasoned faith based on a lot of knowledge, not a blind one. Put another way, a strong faith is based on facts that convince me that the object of my faith is reliable. It is the known facts about the engine that produce the confidence and assurance that I need to get on the aircraft. This is exactly how faith is defined in the Bible, where it says this: "Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." So when I get on an aircraft, my assurance is based on my prior knowledge of facts pertaining to those engines and the testing and maintenance of aircraft in general. To put it a different way, my faith, or my assurance and confidence in that aircraft, is supported by the facts that I happen to know. No faith is necessary to believe the engines will work for the next hour or so if I don't actually get on the plane. Faith is believing in those engines to the extent that I will actually take action and get on the plane. So faith is belief plus action. A strong faith is action on the basis of a belief that is well grounded on evidence, reason, or experience, where that experience can be one's own very real relationship with God. Richard Dawkins has been quite influential in promoting the idea that Christian faith is believing things without any supporting evidence at all, or even despite evidence to the contrary. But this is flat out false regarding what the Bible actually says about faith. For example, it says, "In your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you, yet do it with gentleness and respect." There are two things to make note here. The first is the word defense. The original Greek word used here was apologia, which was the word used to describe what one did when presenting evidence in a well-reasoned case in an ancient Greek court of law. Plato's apologia is a classic example of what that word means. The second observation to make is that the Christian is to always be prepared to give this well-reasoned case for their faith. This is anything but a blind leap in the dark, completely devoid of reason, evidence, or experience. In fact, Christians are strongly encouraged to discover just how grounded in facts and reason their faith is. So my point is this. It is totally not true that the Christian faith requires one to toss their brains out the window and abandon all rational thought. Instead, the Christian is urged to always be ready to provide some well thought through, rational justification for their faith. And there is some pretty impressive evidence that we shall look at in future videos. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, or at least found it thought-provoking. And if you did, please share it, or you can leave a comment in the section below. And also, don't forget to hit the like button.